Hello, welcome, I'm Hannah, and today I'm going to be talking about some shadows from the new Shine by SD collection, Sparkling Lights. Shine by SD just came for the wallets of all of the interesting neutral lovers out there and dropped 12 really sparkly looking different variations of neutral. I picked the 5 that I found the most interesting, but I found it to be kind of difficult to decide what to get because they don't have like tremendous differences between them because they're all within the neutral family. So I did look at a lot of swatch pictures. I recommend if you're ever trying to decide what to get from like an indie launch, look at their tagged photos on Instagram and you can see all of the creators that have posted with them. So that content was super helpful in deciding, but even still, I just had to make a decision at a certain point. I couldn't tell if this one that was slightly more goldish would be perfect and if the one that was slightly more greenish would be worse. I don't know. I bought the 5 that I thought at the time might look the best, and then just recently I was looking through the swatches again and I'm like, oh, I hope I got that one. I bet I got that one. And I looked and I didn't get that one. That one was lavish. I'm a little sad I don't have that one, but let me tell you the ones that I do have. So we have Stunner, Scintilating, Glow, Flash, and Tease. Hopefully, if you were similarly confused, I can clear up some of your questions today, at least how it pertains to these shadows. I'm curious to see how the formula is. A lot of Shine by SD shadows lean a little bit more dry, but I have been surprised by them in the past. Sometimes it's dry in a way I don't like, sometimes it's dry and it's perfectly beautiful, so we're just gonna zoom in and find out. I also tried to pair these up with just the ones that might have some more similarities in case that helps. So the first two look a little bit more champagne or rosy. We're gonna start with Stunner. This actually looks like the least filled up pan of all of them. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means that like the particles in it are heavier and that's why. Either way, doesn't bother me because I'm never gonna use up a full shadow anyway. This is described as silvery reddish pink base with green sparkles throughout. So let's see how it feels. Huh, it is dry, but it picks up quite nicely, and that looks so gorgeous on my finger. I don't have any eye primer on, as usual. Wow. So it is a bit of like a chunky shadow. You can see I went in kind of heavy-handed with my finger, and I had a little bit of fallout. I can imagine if I went in a little bit lighter, it would have been okay. I know a lot of people also choose to use a glitter glue with this type of sparkly shadow. I opt not to, and this is fine. I'll take a couple of flakes of fallout to not have to wear glitter glue. Spread really easily. Overall, no complaints with the formula. And just like the way that this covered my entire lid that quickly is really pretty. I like this. I was hoping to get some like awesome, interesting neutrals. I feel like I haven't gotten that many new shadows recently in my collection, and I was excited to kind of like freshen it up with this purchase and a couple other purchases that I made recently of new releases. And I definitely feel like this is going to be a shadow that I'll be excited to wear. I find it hard sometimes to capture like the different colored sparkles in this lighting, so I'll definitely insert a clip from a different lighting that will show it a little bit more clearly. But I think this angle is good to give an overall impression of like, if you see me out and about in bright lighting, this is what it's going to look like. And I love the presence that this has on the face. I love that the base feels like it melds into my skin tone a little bit, but then the shimmer on it is very cool. Overall, I think Stunner is a good name for the shadow because I think overall the shadow is really pretty. Just kidding, it's absolutely stunning. The next shade is Scintilating. I think I said Scintilating before. I don't know what either of these words mean, but yeah, this one's called Scintilating. It's described as a green base with pinkish red sparkles throughout, which is interesting because I feel like, oh, maybe I am seeing a little bit of that green in there. This looks so pretty. Yeah, I feel like I am seeing that coolness and that warmness, which I love in a shadow. I love when you have both sides of the spectrum. So pretty. This feels similar to the last one. Picks up super nicely and easily on my finger. Goes on really easy. That's pretty. My first impression is that I still like this one more. This feels like a more neutral version. I feel like the base to it feels like a more, it feels like a neutral brown. Like, it's funny that it's described as green because I feel like that just looks like a neutral brown with more of like a true silver or like tan silver sparkle to it. And in comparison, this one looks like a more yellowy brown base with a more frosty lavender pinkish sparkle to it. I do think the multicolored sparkles in this one are a bit more prominent. Like I think I am seeing that like pinkish red and that green at the same time. Oh yeah. Oh, that looks so pretty. Yeah, this one I can see the sparkles very clearly in other lighting, but here it looks more like two-dimensional. And I think here this shadow looks like there's a lot of different colors packed into it if you look closely, and that's really pretty. But it's interesting because farther back, I definitely prefer this one. Up close, I think I prefer this one. I wonder if this will be a shadow that I'll kind of use as a topper, because if I can add this into other looks, then I'm adding in that multicolored sparkle, but I'd have like the far back effect of whatever other shadow I have prominently on my eyes. I'm also going to insert another clip here of scintillating with my phone camera so you can see if it picks up the PC Sparkly a little bit more or differently. Both of these are super pretty. I'm super excited. They're both definitely interesting neutrals, and I'm really happy to have these both in my eyes at the same time because in the pan, they don't look all that different to me. But on the eyes, I think they look quite different, especially to an interesting neutral lover like myself. The next shadow is Glow, and I feel like I would never guess this from looking at it in the pan, but it's described as a fiery red base with slight rose gold shift and green gold sparkles. I feel like oftentimes I'm a little bit less excited about like yellowy gold looking shadows, but this one looks so pretty. Again, feels the same. Oh, that's really pretty. I really like this. I really don't know how that fiery red base comes into play, but I think it looks like a yellow base, like a yellow, almost brown base. But again, just like the last one, I can so clearly see that multicolor sparkle in there, and I love that. I could definitely see this being like the gold in my collection, the gold standard of the golds, the gold to win all golds. I love this. There's just not that much else to say. It looks like a gold, but a super interesting gold with the multicolored sparkles. I'm gonna insert a clip from my cell phone showing how it looks in that camera. I can see a shift in it in that camera. It looks like it shifts to like a peachy orange out of the light, which is super interesting. I think the only shadow that we needed the other angle to see the multicolored sparkle was the first one so far, but the addition of like a shift to it just makes it so much more interesting to me. This is like the definition of an interesting neutral. I think it fills the socks, the shoes. It fills the shoes of like a gold shadow, but it's so much more interesting than a gold shadow. It has a little bit of a colorful shift to it. It has multicolored sparkles in it, but overall it reads as gold, and I love that. The next one is Flash, and this is one that when I started like really honing in on which ones I was going to buy, this felt like the standout in all of the swatch pictures, so I'm really excited about this. The description says it has a lime green / gold base with silvery pink sparkles throughout. And I think that contrast is what was so prominent in the swatches, which made me really like it. Cute. Hopefully we can separate this from all of the sparkles that I have on my face. Wow! Oh, this is so pretty. I think this could read as like a silvery shadow, but when you look at it, the pink and the green is so prominent. I really like that. It's kind of similar to the last two that we had in my eyes in the way that like, this one feels like a bolder shadow, but this one has a lot of interesting sparkle that you'll see close up. For some people, I can imagine feeling like a shadow like this is more wearable. It's definitely fun, funky, a little bit out there, but if you're just talking to someone at like a normal distance, it feels like you have a silver shadow on. And then up close, you're like, this is not your typical silver shadow. I can kind of see the greenness in the base, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a green base. I think it looks more like a cool tone brown base, and then the coolness of the sparkles really contrast against it. But I don't think this is as base heavy as like a shadow like this is. and I think that's why this shade looks bolder to me than this shade does. In the other camera, I think you can see the green base a little bit better, and the green and pink sparkles are still really prominent and really lovely. Man, I wish I had even more of these to swatch, but we are on to the last one that I picked up, which is the shade Tease. This is the one that gets to be swatched all by itself because it does seem a little different. It looks very like blue and purple. It's described as a mid-tone blue base with mauve shift with teal and gold sparkles. I'm wondering if this is going to be similar to something like Abrasion, but Abrasion from Clionadh, it doesn't have that like multicolored sparkle thing going on. I'm not even positive if this one does, but we're gonna find out. For the other swatches, I was just going in on my bare eyelid. I did put primer down for this one so I can like build a look around it and continue to wear it, but I don't feel like my eye primer affects the quality of the shadows. It just makes them last longer. Okay, pretty. We're gonna put it on the other eye too, but my first impression is that this is a bit more of like a straightforward shade. Still really pretty. I don't want to act disappointed because this is gorgeous, but I'm not seeing that multicolored sparkle thing going on, but I still really like this. This kind of reminds me of the first one. And the first one, I was able to see the multicolored sparkle in the other lighting slash camera, but not in this. And I wonder if this will be the same. This feels to me like a more wearable Abrasion because it's a little lighter. It's like you can tell that that sparkle is blue, but it's a very light, icy blue. And for the base, they described it as mid-toned blue. But I feel like the base is just like a light mauve. Like a light berry shade. Actually not seeing any multicolored sparkle from the cell phone camera either, so I guess it's not something that's constant through every shade in this collection, unless I'm just somehow not picking it up between the two cameras. But I do imagine myself wearing this a lot. I think this is just like simple, but super pretty. I like that it's not too deep because more deep shades get less use from me. This feels very wearable, but so gorgeous, so sparkly, so bold, but also so like easy and pretty. I'm really excited about this. I'm happy I got this one. I was a little bit less excited about this in the swatches also, but I think it is just so pretty. And I bought it knowing that even though I might be drawn to swatches of all different types of shadows, shades like this that lean a little bit more cool toned tend to get more daily wear from me. And if I'm picking up 5 shades from a collection, it just makes sense to pick up a shade like that. So I'm happy I made that decision and got this one. I'm going to put on a makeup look around this and then we will come back for some more swatches and final thoughts. And this is the finished look. I have to say it's been like 2 hours since I did my makeup. I got unexpectedly busy and wasn't able to check back in right away, but I think that's fun to show you what this looks like after a couple hours. I have hooded eyes, so I generally experience quite a bit of creasing, especially if shades are on the more emollient side, but this being a bit of a drier shadow, I have like no creasing after 2 hours, and I think that's fantastic. I decided to keep the look super simple. It's still just teased on my lid. I didn't even add in like a crease color or anything. I also extended tease into my inner corner, and I can see a little bit of that like mauvey purplish base, but not so bad. I don't think it's going to be something I'm going to reach for my inner corner, but good to know that in a pinch, it does work. And then for my lower lash line, I just used a shade from the Kylie Mauves palette. I really like these shadows. I've found Shine by SD to be a little bit hit and miss in the past. There's some shades by them that I absolutely love, and then other shades that I could like totally do without, don't care for. And it's tough with them because they're not cheap. I was able to use a creator code on these, and I think they came out to like $15.44 each. I think the bundle for the whole 12 shades was about $200. And although I was very intrigued by this collection, I wasn't willing to take a $200 risk and see if I liked the formulation on them or not, see if they were consistent between them, see if they were different enough to warrant having so many of them. So I took the safer route by just trying out a handful of them that seemed good to me. But knowing what I know now, trying out these 5 shadows, I feel like I would have been happy with the 12. I mean, of course, I don't know if I got lucky. I don't know if I picked out the 5 best shadows from my little bit of looking at swatches research, but the amount that I like these makes me feel like I would like the others, and I feel like if I had the others, I would enjoy having them. I'm excited too to see if other people order different shadows from them, what kind of becomes the standout once, like, you know, the consumers get the products. And if time shows me that I do continue to reach for these like I think I will, I could imagine myself ordering some more of them in the future. Maybe not all of them, because it does feel like some could be a little bit repetitive. And there was one, I think it was Charm, didn't look as bold or sparkly as the other ones. So that one I probably wouldn't get unless for some reason people love it. And there has been times I've enjoyed less sparkly shadows if they have that like certain it factor that makes them spectacular. So I'm gonna give you some hand swatches of these also. I generally like to rank things, but I don't have a definitive ranking for these. I will say my first impression is that I like Glow the best. This was that like really interesting goldish shadow with very visible multicolored sparkle and a visible shift to it, but also reads as like so neutral and bold. I feel like this shadow is absolutely fantastic. I feel like this is going to be the first one that I'm going to be looking to make a look with after today. When it comes to the other four though, as I said, they're all beautiful. I feel like they're all really good shadows. I don't have my ducks in a row to say this is like 2, 3, 4, and 5. I think that's the kind of thing that might become more apparent to me after I've had a chance to use these and to see what I feel my best in and what I continue to reach for. So we have Stunner again, Flash, Tease, which is on my eyes, and Scintilating. These shades are so sparkly and I just feel like they're so well done. Insanely reflective, very like nuanced feeling colors. I don't feel like I have dupes in my collection for any of these. And they're not like a super flaky formula. They're not a super rough formula. I won't say they're the softest in the world. They do run a little bit dry, but they don't have that feeling of like shards or that feeling that's close to a pressed glitter. They feel like a very comfortable, easy to use eyeshadow. And I just can't get over how damn good they look on my hand. Especially Glow. Like I feel like you could 1000% tell why it's my favorite. That's so pretty. As I said, I don't really have dupes for these shadows because they do feel so special and unique, but I'm gonna give you a couple swatches of shades that are similar to Glow, like could be thought of as similar, and maybe having those as a baseline will give you a better idea of what these shades are like. So the one that kind of makes me think most of it is Embellishment from Clionadh. This is a beautiful yellowy gold with like a green shift to it. Absolutely love the shadow and how it kind of teeters between being like a neutral and a color. Oh wow, that's way more yellow. I wasn't expecting that to be so much more golden than Glow is, but I think this also illustrates that even though Embellishment is a gorgeous shiny shadow, the like little pinpoint sparkles in Glow make it even more sparkly looking. And then here is Corrosion from Clionadh. This I think of as my like favorite gold, but I think it is a bit more of like a dingy color. Yeah, I think this one looks a lot more warm than Glow does also. And a lot more straightforward. Still gorgeous. Love all three of these, but very different experiences. And then also I just wanted to compare Whistling Woods. This was a collab shadow with M. Jones 5018 and Bizarra Volta, and this is a really gorgeous goldish bronzy shadow also, but this is a like a thicker formula. And looking at it on my finger, I think it's going to be, yeah, quite a bit more warm and deep than Glow is. Glow is a relatively light shadow. Again, all really pretty, but I'm so excited for this one. I'm so excited to have it. It's so different and it's so unique. And I know I mentioned Clionadh Abrasion when I started talking about Tease, so although I can tell it's very different, I'll give you a little swatch of that also. Okay, so again, this one is Tease, and that's Abrasion. You can tell it's in the same family, more of like a warmish purple base with blue sparkles, but Abrasion is much more like literal. It's much more berry base blue sparkles, and Tease is like that with like all of the color totally turned down, but just left enough that you can tell what it is, you know? If you picked up any of these, please let me know if you enjoyed them, if you have any recommendations, if you liked some more than others. I'm super curious, especially because I love these, and right now I just feel like I want to collect them all, or collect them most. I just want more. I love these so much. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. It would really mean a lot to me. I also have a Patreon I'll have linked down below, and a fashion channel I'll have linked down below. Either way, thank you so much for being here. Bye.